Welcome back to Wealth Reimagined. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in your day. So glad that you're back and joining me as we jump into a new month in 2026. It is June the 1st, and we've covered a few things over the last couple of months. I hope that you have been enjoying the journey and have been benefiting from the content and really just things, that I have either personally dealt with or just in my opinion, feel is important to really establish a solid financial journey wherever you may be. So, welcome back. And thank you for tuning in again. Thank you for tuning in. So, today I want to address maybe while you have been consuming and listening and tuning in, and you maybe even done some of the things that have been mentioned, I want to address maybe for those who are having a hard time getting started, or maybe when you're listening, you feel a sense of motivation and you're like, oh man, that was great. I'm going to go and do this. But just to find that you will not start, or you feel a bit crippled, or just not able to mobilize anything. It may not necessarily have to do with a lack of practicals. It may have more to do with some beliefs, beliefs around money to be specific. And so today, that's what I really want to dive into. While it can maybe be thought of as a money mindset, I actually want to peel a mindset layer back, and let's actually look at maybe some money beliefs that you have. So there has been some research done around this by people that study behavioral finance as well as financial psychology. And one of those individuals, Dr. Brad Klontz, he has done some extensive work in creating a framework around what he calls money scripts. And in a nutshell, these money scripts are just 4 areas that he has extracted from his research that many people run into when it comes to their beliefs around money. So I am trying to purposely, because this is a journey that I have already been on for about a decade. And so I have to say that because I do not want anyone to feel that my beliefs or my mindset is just instinctual. This is where I'm at. This is what I believe. I've done a lot of work. I've had to peel back many layers. I've had to do a lot of self reflection from when I first heard about this concept, and create a lot of self awareness. And I hope that some of that work comes through in the opinions that I share around money and establishing your budget and establishing that emergency savings, so on and so forth. So, money beliefs oftentimes stem from your childhood, like most things that we have to navigate and unpack in our adult life. A lot of that will come from childhood, maybe a specific situation, an incident that occurred that you remember. You were a child, so maybe you didn't know all the details. You just remembered the impact of that event. It could have been, experiencing flooding and water up to your knees, and there was no immediate solution, and all the just challenges that created That is an example, of maybe an event or incident that occurred. Something else could be things that you heard growing up. I think we've all had to hear, money don't grow on trees, right? Till you get a really smart kid that says, yes, it does, because it's made of paper, right? But but we've all, I'm sure, have had somebody, some relative, tell us money don't grow on trees. Like, what do you think this is? You're asking for this. You want this. Like, this money doesn't grow on trees. That's a real popular one, but there could be many others. There could be other things that you may have heard growing up that have shaped a belief that you live with today. I can think of one personally where I remember, so I grew up in a single parent household, and I remember being told that things would be easier if it were a two income household. And so I remember thinking that was true for a long time. And I'm not saying that in some instances it isn't true, but it does not have to be the end all be all, I have tried my darndest to go against that belief, even before doing work to reframe that and kind of disassociate myself with that belief and thought process. So and so also with that, what was something maybe you saw? It could be things that you saw, maybe not necessarily things you heard, but just what was modeled. What was modeled for you? Did you witness constant phone calls and bill collectors, or did you witness extravagant spending? Just those different things. Those are the things that I really want you to take some time for yourself and think about. Okay, here's some things I remember hearing said growing up. And I don't mean, and I won't say that. I was going to say, I don't mean like one time, because sometimes those one time things have become like a core memory, that does impact us. And if it comes to mind, it probably is worth jotting down. This is something that I've heard. These were behaviors or things that I saw growing up. I watched my mom do, I watched my dad do, I watched my grandma and grandpa do, my aunts, whoever, I remember seeing this behavior happen, and it created this belief for me that money is bad, or it could also be the other side of the spectrum, where it doesn't have to be a negative feeling or negative experience. You could have had everything you always wanted growing up, but on the flip side of that, you may experience a little guilt sometimes, because maybe the people that you are around most of the time, or were around, weren't able to have those things. Maybe you were the kid that every time the new Jordans came out, you were able to get them. Your parents were able to get you those without a problem, without an argument. And you have a whole collection of them now, right? And you may have had friends who never had Jordans. And they were your friend, and you remember how it made you feel. Maybe you felt bad, and there's some empathy there. Like, man, I wanted us to have matching this, and my friend can't get it. And, or maybe it didn't, everybody's different. And that's the thing also to remember, that everyone's going to have a different experience or outcome or impact. You're going to have a different impact. So two people could hear the example I gave earlier, money doesn't grow on trees, right? That can leave this feeling of there's not enough. that could create a scarcity mindset that could put you on one path or another. It could put you on a path of, money is hard to come by, and there's not ever enough of it to go around. You could then adopt that, or you could adopt, I want to make sure money is never a problem. I want to be able to say yes when someone asks. I want to be able to book that trip. Money is abundant. You could go either way, right? You could go either way, but more importantly is being able to identify them so that you can have a healthy relationship with money. Because the healthier way that you believe money and just your mindset around it. Some people think people are with a lot of money are evil. Oh, there's one. Money is the root of all evil. Has anyone heard that? Do you believe money is the root of all evil? A lot of people do. A lot of people do. And so does that then align with what you are saying you want to accomplish in your wealth journey? Do you really feel that you establishing wealth, you creating security, you leaving an inheritance is evil or makes you evil to set such goals for yourself? Does the amount of money or lack thereof give you some type of status, or make you feel, does it impact your self-worth? These are the types of questions. Okay. So think about things that you heard. Write them down. Things that you heard growing up, or a thing that you heard, write that down. Think about things that you saw. Write down any events that you remember, that you can recall, that you feel, okay, if my parents had money, we could have resolved or fixed that. Or I believe that it would have been easier. I believe life would have been harder if. Write these things down. So I guess this is kind of a encouragement to journal episode. Just write it down on a piece of paper. What comes to mind? Those things that come to mind when you think of growing up and how you saw money. Because then you want to take that information, and it's time to not only reflect, but reframe. Okay. So if you have a belief that money doesn't grow on trees, you may have to reframe that belief, because money doesn't grow on trees may not be serving you and causing you to be unaligned with your financial goal. So that would be more of a scarcity thing. Okay. Money doesn't grow on trees. Let me try to think of something on the spot here. That could be reframed as, money is a renewable resource, because it is. Money is a renewable resource, especially in the States. Okay. This is a capitalist society. There's always a way to earn a dollar. There always is a way to earn a dollar. Money does not grow on trees. Money is actually a renewable resource. If you want to earn money, you can. You can apply for a job. You can start a business. You have a talent. You can advertise that. Are you good at baking? Sell cakes, sell cupcakes. Do you have a skill that you do better than everyone else in the room? You could probably monetize it. So it really is just picking apart at that belief that may have you a bit stagnant in your journey. It's making you feel that you won't be successful. Okay. And I did want to address starting a journey, right? So that feeling is not only maybe from money beliefs that you have, right? It could also be due to expectations. Folks, we have to be realistic. When you start out anything for the first time, there will be a learning curve. There will also be challenges. Okay. I'll use myself as an example. I have gotten serious about my about my fitness journey. I am at that stage in life and I have had to learn and really reimagine my health and have a better understanding of what's going on and how to combat it in a natural way. Okay. So that means I've had some trials and errors to learn from, and I had to make adjustments. I didn't quit. I'm not going to quit because the end goal is more important to me. So I'm not going to quit. I have to adjust. I have to be realistic. I am not in the best shape of my life any longer. And I have to start where I am and work my way back up to a point of whatever that best shape will be for me today. Not where I was a decade ago. What that will look like for me today. It's no different starting your financial journey. Let's look at starting a budget. You're going to start your budget. It may be the first time you're doing a budget, right? And your budget, the first time you realize you do not make enough money for all of your expenses, that in itself is discouraging. Okay. So then you have to start where you are. I don't have enough money. So then your first goal is to break even. That's where you start. And that right there is why I try to avoid cookie cutter opinions, cookie cutter advice. This is not one size fits all like most things. Okay. But you have to be able to understand the basics so that you can apply it to your personal situation. So if you don't have enough money when you did your first budget, goal number one, how do I break even? Right? Yeah, you could say, how do I get more money? But let's learn how to be great stewards of what we already have. Okay, here's what I have. How can I break even? That could mean you may have to cut something. That could mean you may have to get more money if there aren't things that can be cut. That might mean having to do your hair yourself for 5 months. I don't know, enough to keep that money to pay something off that's causing you to be upside down. That might mean you have to paint your own toenails this summer. I mean, those are the things we have to think about, but that should be goal number one if that's your position, right? Let's say you Let's say you aren't in that boat and you have enough money, but you can't stay on track for what you budgeted for that line item. So let's use grocery. Cost of food is going up, right? So let's say you have budgeted, let's say you've budgeted $500 for the month for grocery. You're like, I'm only going to spend $500 this month for grocery. For my household, that's a lot. There's only 3 people in my household. So $500 a month, with the way I try to meal plan or be sure I use up what I already have before spending and buying more. $500 seems like plenty, but for some, $500 probably doesn't sound like a lot, right? So what I'm saying is, let's say your number's 500, and when you got to the store, you spent $650. And now you're like, this doesn't work. I can't do this. You need to reframe that. This does work, but I need to make an adjustment. This does work, but I went over this time. Let me try again. This can work. Let me try again. You try again, you might get a little closer. You might say, you know what? Maybe I do need to try meal planning so that I'm only purchasing what I need for the meals that I have planned, so that I can hit this $500 target this month, right? It's going to be trial and error. It's going to be figuring out what system is going to work for you and your household. That is going to involve not only knowing what to do, having patience with the process, but you also have to know yourself. You have to know yourself to be able to successfully do it. And that goes back to money beliefs. What beliefs do you have framed around money that will impact your ability to be successful in the journey of budgeting, saving, and paying off debt? Okay. So don't give yourself a false expectation when you start something new. Financial journeys are no different than starting anything else that's new. You have to take steps to progress and work your way into it. You're beginning something completely different, maybe, than how you've done it before. What I'm saying might sound good, but it's completely different when it's time to actually execute it. And so having a realistic expectation around starting something new is paramount to success. Also, understanding your money beliefs will be paramount to your success, because not only is it going to help you reframe mindset, it's going to also have you have a awareness around self. And that awareness around self is going to help you determine success in saving, investing, and reaching your goals. So I want to give you a resource to take with you, and I want you to be able to find your own money beliefs. Dr. Klontz refers to them as your money scripts. And he does have a free assessment that you can take online to figure out what those are for yourself. He has them broken down into 4 categories. I don't have them memorized, so I'm going to pull the 4 up. So the 4 money scripts that he identifies The first one is money avoidance. The second is money focus. The third is money status. And the fourth is money vigilance. And so you can go out to his website. I'm going to put that up on the screen for you. And there we go. bradclontz.com/money scripts test. You can take this test. This assessment is free. You will have to enter in your name, email, and then they will email you the results. I took it, and I wish I had taken it. I've done the work for this. Like I said, it's been over a decade now. And so the money script that I have now would be money vigilance. And when I was reading what that meant, I was like, I really want to know which one I would have scored high in prior to doing the work. I think prior to doing the work, money avoidance would have been the one for me. But today, I am money vigilant. And so briefly, I'll just read this first paragraph. It says, those high in money vigilance tend to be alert, cautious, and deeply concerned about their financial well-being. They value saving for the future, believe in the link between hard work and financial success, and often avoid unnecessary debt, especially credit card use. And I was like, woo, that hit the nail right on the head about me. That's pretty much me. But that's where I am now. Like, that's not where I've always been. I've not always been vigilant. I have become vigilant. And so I will say that I do appreciate it saying that does come with its challenges. So, however, money vigilance isn't without its challenges. While it promotes healthy habits like saving and living within one's means, it can sometimes lead to excessive worry or reluctance to enjoy the benefits of financial security. And so I appreciate that being in there, because that goes back to my personal life motto of balance. Everything is a balance. So while I may have now developed a specific vigilance around my financial well-being, I can't be so one-sided with it that I can't enjoy it. That's where the balance comes in. So I would encourage you to go out, take the assessment. Again, it's free. You will have to enter in a couple of things. They will email you the results, and see what money script may be coming up for you. I think it took me about 5 minutes to do the assessment, so it won't take a lot of time, but I would love to hear which one you scored high on. No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone. And leave a comment, and also tell me if you agree with the outcome based off of things that you've already reflected on. So go and write down those things about things I've heard, things I've seen, things that I saw, an incident, that I saw. Jot those down, right? So you kind of like, thinking about it, and then go take the assessment and let me know what came up for you. So I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear if this is something that you gained anything from, gained any insight from. I'm trying to think of more content that I feel that really would be beneficial. Like I said, as far as just how do I budget? How do I save? How do I pay off debt? You can Google all that. I'm happy to tell you. I'm happy to tell you those answers. However, my experience has been being in the banking industry for over 20 years now, and knowing everything that you should do. The question became, why am I not doing it? Why haven't I done it? That became the question. And that's when I started this journey over a decade ago, digging a bit deeper, because it was, in a sense, for me, embarrassing. It's like, I've been in this industry. I'm telling other people, I'm helping others. Why don't I have my own household in order? Something's got to give. And one thing I remember my grandma telling me, my grandmother, one of her jobs was cleaning homes. And my grandma was like, this isn't what she said. This is me paraphrasing. My grandma said, ain't no way I'm about to be cleaning these houses for all these people and come home to a dirty house. And that was the same thing I ran into when it came to my financial well-being. How is it I can help you be successful? I can help you unpack certain challenges, but I don't have my own stuff together. Something's wrong with that. And so I definitely believe in being a person that is doing the work. We're on this journey together. Always remember that. I don't have it all figured out. I'm just here to coach you and hopefully help you to not make similar mistakes that I've had to perhaps learn the hard way. So that's my show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in with me and being a part of Wealth Reimagined on the Family Bloodline Network, where we have advice and coaching about money for real people. So enjoy your week. Can't wait to hear those money script results in the comments, and I will be with you again next Monday. Have a great